Welcome to Truth Talks. Truth Talks invites speakers who have used truth, meaning by being truthful to themselves in life to achieve fame, position, prosperity, and peace. After all, truth is like the gravity to which all must return. Either you use it or you crash into it. Today's guest is someone who needs no introduction, Mrs. Sudha Murty, the legend loved by millions of viewers and readers. Interviewing her today is Mini Menon, again a very popular face for years on CNBC and Bloomberg TV. Currently, the founder of livehistoryindia.com, a very important history project. Come, let's get inspired and help ourselves.
Thank you so much for that, Vallabhai, and a very, very warm welcome to all of you joining us. In a family of super achievers, she has been a trailblazer. But for me, what has always stood out about Sudha Murty ji is the simplicity with which she conducts herself, the grace with which she deals with people. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sudha ji.
Thank you, Mini.
I want to ask you a very broad question, but a very deep question. What does truth mean to you?
For me, truth means tell the facts what they are without exaggeration, without vested interest. Also, tell in such a way that it should not even hurt. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat. That means you should tell truth. There are many ways to tell truth. That is the beauty of truth is you can still tell truth, but there are many ways to tell. Changing your tone, giving a kind of a introduction and telling truth, consoling and telling truth, cajoling and telling truth. But the truth has to be told without vested interest. That is truth to me. This is my individual opinion.
So what you're saying is that truth can sometimes be harsh. So you don't have to be harsh.
Most of the time harsh.
So you can be warm in your truth as well.
Yeah. Particularly, you can tell truth sometimes stage by stage. For example, if someone dies, you have to tell the truth. Okay? So there's one way. Mr. So-and-so died. This is direct. He is not well. I think it looks serious. And, okay, after some time, I think he's no more. In 2 steps, if you tell, the mind will prepare to accept it. And there is a story on that, actually. There was a king or a sultan was there, and he called an astrologer and told him to read his horoscope. Astrologer came and told him, King, your children, grandchildren, everyone die in front of you. He was so upset, he jailed him. Then next astrologer came and he saw. He said, Sir, you have such a long life, longer than anyone else. You will see a lot of things in life. Okay? You have the longest life in your family. The king felt very nice and rewarded. I mean, this is more of the story is how you tell the truth. The answer was same. You have the longest span of life. That means your children, grandchildren will die in front of you. But Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat. This is another way of telling truth. If they know I was a teacher, when my students did not do well, I used to call them and tell, look, beta, you have done fairly not good. Okay? 60% today does not mean much. However, you have a potential, and every step, every failure is a step to succeed. Okay? Every failure is a pillar in your building. So please remember, you have to understand this situation and read better or something that kind. Instead of telling you are a worst fellow, look at that, you have got 60, highest is 99, so you're no good. That's also another way of telling.
Let's look at how your own understanding of truth evolved, Sudhaji, as you took certain decisions in your life. I'm going to start at the very beginning. Few people realize that you were perhaps one of the first ladies to go into your engineering college. It was an all-boys setup, but you took a bold decision to go in there. What made you take that decision? Because sometimes strong decisions like this have so many issues. We only talk about the decision. We don't talk about the everyday challenges that people face when they take tough decisions because they want to follow their heart. They want to follow the path of truth. What was that experience like?
I liked applied science. I always believed anything which is applied science can help humanity. That's the reason I told I want to pursue applied science, unlike my brother who pursued pure science. And the best example of applied science is engineering. And I decided to do engineering, knowing pros and cons, that people always felt that I am crazy, but worse is my father was crazy. They felt it, that the father does not have brain. Look, the girl will tell I will do engineering. So it was something unusual in a place like Hubli, where a girl stands up and says, I want to do engineering where there are no girls. Probably to my parents, I feel more than me.
So what was the upbringing like, Sudhaji, that allowed you to take this decision? Would you give a lot of credit to the way your parents brought you up, how they gave you a chance? Because as you rightly said, for many women, it's a challenge to first walk the path that they would like to walk, in many cases even now. And that is very sad. What do you attribute it to?
I think I am the product of, probably to great extent, my grandparents. I grew up with my grandparents for a long time. My grandfather was a school teacher, a Sanskrit school teacher, and my grandmother never went to school. But their compassion, their love for learning. My grandmother started learning alphabets in Kannada at the age of 62. That she said, if you want to learn anything new, age is no bar, she taught me. My grandfather was a bright student, and he was enrolled in Pune Law College in the year 1910 or something. Okay. Very first year he came to know, to defend your case, you have to lie. He said, he thought for 1 month and he said, no, I rather lead a life without telling a lie and defending a criminal and getting that kind of money I don't need. I can lead a truthful life. And he left his course, came back and became a school teacher. So he insisted a lot on truth on me. He said, the person who tells truth is always a straight person. Believe he is a dependable person. Okay. So truth is a great asset in life. That was taught to me in a very young age. He knew history very well. He knew Sanskrit very well. He knew mathematics very well. So all three, I think I learned from him. And he insisted in initial days, Sanskrit is the mother of many languages and we must speak in Sanskrit. He taught me many, many things in life. Like he said, there are only 3 things we should ask God. Anayasena maranam, vina dainena jivanam, dehante tanidhyam, dehi he mama madhavam. Oh God, give me 3 things in life. Anayasena maranam, I should die without any difficulty or dependency. Vina dainena jivanam, I should lead my life without begging, dependent on somebody. And when I want to die, it is not my family, my children, grandchildren who should be in front of me. It is you, Madhava. You should be in front of me when I say goodbye to this world. Such a great lesson in a very young age. I never understood many of them. But I understood later part of my life, particularly when I got money. When I had got money, the whole world looked so different because you will get false friends, you will get people who will like to talk about you, people will describe you what you are not there. Okay, all those things. So I learned a lot of philosophy, which I knew theoretically, but I could use it practically.
That's so wonderful to hear because that is the grounding. The simplicity comes from the grounding that you have got. Now tell me, how did the idea of truth, Sudhaji, evolve in your mind? Every life experience iterates certain principles in a person's life, makes you walk in a certain path. What were the turning points, according to you, in your own life, which kind of cemented your thoughts on truth?
It is not one day, one incident, no. Over a period of time, I went on evolving, one by observation. And, I was very fortunate. I have seen people in my life. They were not great, well-known people in the world's eye. For example, my father was an atheist, okay, up to the last minute. And he was a doctor. One day one patient came and he was a gynecologist and she was unable to conceive. She went and told my father, doctor, my husband will ask your opinion when we will get children or something. You please lie so that I can live with him and my marriage will be saved. Please, for my sake, doctor. She touched his feet, etc. She did all that. I was listening to this conversation in my study room, which was adjacent to my father's visiting room. Then her husband came and asked my father whether she will have a baby. My father said, look, physically she cannot have. That does not mean you have to leave your wife. Suppose you had some defect, she would not have left you. Please adopt a child, but have the same wife. Okay? So I asked my father, why did you could have lied. No, she will have. My father said, I am a doctor. I can't lie to a patient. It may be socially advantage to a female. I was fighting for a female side. She would have been happy. Her marriage would have saved. He said, you look only social angle, but there is an ethical angle. And I'm telling him that's the reason you can live with that wife, but you can adopt a child. But what they do is different. I can't lie to a patient. And such examples I have seen and have grown up. So I grew up with the truth and truth alone. And the story of George Washington was told to me again and again when I was about 7-8 years old. George Washington had an axe which was very sharp, which was a gift from somebody, his uncle or someone. And he was staying with his stepfather. And his stepfather was an extremely short-tempered person. And he planted an extraordinary rare tree in his house, okay, which was sapling, which was grown with 10 years old or 5 years old. As a kid, 8 years old kid, George Washington wanted to, test the sharpness of his axe, and he just put one thud on the tree or the sapling and it fell down. And his mother was worried. When his father came, who has axed the tree? Everybody kept quiet, and he got up and said, Dad, I have done whatever punishment you give, I'll accept. But the truth is, I have done not intentionally, but unintentionally. I did not know one axe pressure can kill the tree. I did not know that. I have not done purposely. Please forgive. Father was very upset for a minute. Then he embraced the child and told, you'll be a great man one day. Because for small reason, if you lie, it continues. And this is a story told to us that under any circumstance, you should tell truth. However, it is disadvantage to you.
As a woman, a lot of decisions are taken not just for you, but for the family. And I think women, I wouldn't say naturally, all people take decisions for the family above individual. It often goes unnoticed, you see, because you just take it for granted, in that context. So in your case, I know that you got through MIT, you decided not to go. You also took a back seat as far as your career is concerned, took a slower pace because you had 2 children who you were bringing up. These are tough decisions for a person who knew her way, who knew her past. Was there ever a dilemma in your mind when you took these decisions?
No, there was more than dilemma. I had difficulties in accepting for some time. For example, not going to MIT, my father told me, you got a job, what is your opinion? I said, I'm not taking up a job, I want to go to MIT. Then my dad asked me, why did you write to Tata? I said, I wanted justice. I said, he has given you a justice, okay, I'll accept. Now, why you don't want to go? I said, no, I want to go to MIT because I want to do my PhD. He said, you are opportunist in that time. Because you will raise an issue, when the solution is given, you want to run away because you want to go abroad. And I'm sure if you go abroad, you will do your PhD well and you'll get a job and you won't come back like most Indians. Then why did you open this question? Why did you open a Pandora box? When did you ask questions? You are responsible for the results and you are running away from it. He said, as a father, I feel when you have asked questions, you knew the solution, you should take it forward. Otherwise, you should not have asked that question. You should have gone to MIT without worrying about all these things. He said, make your decision, but I have given my opinion. I always respected my father. I'm sure girls always respect their parent, father more than mother, because that is somehow girls are connected to father more, in particularly in every family, I feel. Boys are to the mother and girls are to the father in general. And I used to take my father quite seriously. So 2 days I thought over it, then I cried and tore my MIT admission. Maybe I was brought up in those days where we never said, it is my decision, it's my life, I want my room and I want my space. We never had. When the elders tell something, it is always for our benefit. They will guide us, but we have to make the decision. But they will show us the lamp, but I have to walk. They will make the path, but I have to run. I took a decision. And it took some time for me to accept it that I can't go to MIT. Later in my life, I realized God will close a window, but He will open the door. If I would have gone to MIT, I must have retired as a technical director somewhere in some company. But today, in my own country, I can touch the lives of many people, and that has given me immense happiness. And I don't have any regret about it.
Wow. Fantastic. Fantastic. Sudhaji, the other part of you is really how you have stood as a rock behind your husband. The seed fund for Infosys came from you because you were earning more than him at that time. And you gave him that money. You said, I'm here to back you. Like you said, you took care of the home turf while he went and fought the battle for Infosys outside. But you never joined Infosys. Why was that?
It was Murthy's decision because Murthy said, this should be a professional company. Between two of us, one should be there. He said, if you join, then I will not join. Okay? If I join, you should not join. The reason is both husband and wife should not be in a company. But I realized that I need not join, but I can support it, which without joining, I support it.
But today you're doing so much of work through the Infosys Foundation. What gives you the most joy? You know, I feel with success and money, you also have tremendous responsibility in a country like India. And you walk that talk because you have never, basked in the glory of what you have created. You've always looked forward towards what more you can do. So I really want you to talk about this.
We did a lot of work. Actually, in 25 years, we've done a tremendous amount of work. Work is not a problem. But I used to question about myself. Why God, we come from a middle class family. My father was a doctor, grandfather was a school teacher, mother was a school teacher. And we were not like very rich people at all. And why God made me and Murthy rich? What is the reason? This is a question I used to ask to myself. But I got that answer after maybe 18 years. In foundation, when I used to work, it took 18 long years for me to work with the sex workers and changing 3,000 of them to normal life. So I would tell you to read that book, 3,000 Stitches, where I talk about it, how I started that work and how they threw chappals at me, how they threw tomatoes at me, they ridiculed me. And I used to come and cry, and my father was alive at that time. I told my father, see, I can sit in a house, I can go to a club, I can spend a lot of money in other things. And why I should be beaten, I should take chappals and tomatoes. He said, that is your choice, beta. You have made a choice. Nobody has told you that you should make this choice. You have made a choice. In ignorance, you get bad things also. It took 18 years for me to change 3,000 sex workers to normal life. It did, Of course, I had a very great help of Abhay Kumar from Delhi. Without him, I would not have done. I finished that work. They wanted to call me and, there was a Thanksgiving ceremony. And that immediately I got the answer. I used to say, why God gives money? For what reason? I remembered a very famous shloka in Mahabharata by Raja Rantideva, which says, oh Rantideva, Lord Shiva comes and says, Raja Rantideva, you are such a great philanthropist. What do you want in next life? You want a good health. You want you want to be a handsome person. You want a kingdom. You want gold, silver, whatever that. He says, no, Lord, I don't want anything. Natvaham kamaye rajyam. I don't want kingdom. Na swargam na punarbhavam. I don't even want swarga. I don't want to be reborn. But if you want, I should be reborn. He says, give me the soft heart and hard hands to work for others. I felt that moment, God gave me money for this reason. A daughter of a doctor and a granddaughter of a school teacher, marrying an unemployed man with lot of others in his mind, which are many times practical or impractical. Okay, a man who goes behind something he will never stop. And such person you marry, take a lot of responsibility of the house and other things, and you get money. This is the reason this money is only meant for the public. And God, you gave me an opportunity to serve your 3,000 children who otherwise would have suffered in the Kamatipura have come out and are leading a good life. Maybe I was born for this. And that day onwards, I don't have any ambiguity, anything in my mind. My mind is Kora Kagat, very blank. I don't have any wish list. That gave me internal so much peace. And almost, normally I don't get upset. I don't get upset at all actually. But after that, there is absolutely nothing, no anger in my mind. It just disappeared of anything. No anger, no disappointment, nothing about praise, nothing I want in life. Oh Lord, dehante tava sanidhyam, dehihe mama madhavam. Oh Madhava, you should be in front of my eye. I don't need anything.
Give me a soft heart and hard hand. That hard hand is very important because there is another story that I've heard you speak about how you gave a lot of books in charity, and then you had gone to a shop and you saw one of the books that you had given, the paper, I think it was an atlas. It was used as a wrapping paper for some fruits or food that you had bought. And you took a decision that I'll never give anything free because it's never appreciated. That's a wonderfully important lesson to learn also, because a lot of people would argue, but who are you to question whether it's right or wrong, of how it is used? How do you internalize this, and how did you decide, or how did you come to the idea that you should give something that people pay for because that's when they are truly appreciative?
Over a period of time with experience, I learnt. For example, in this world, other than mother's love, nothing should be free. Maybe somebody is hungry. Okay, feed them for 10 days, 15 days. In Corona, we have done that one, but not forever. There should be an exit policy for everything. Because when you give free, people disrespect and misuse. That in 25 years, I learned what to do, when to do. Everything has an exit policy.
Sudhaji, you are also a mother. You brought up two very smart, very confident children. How did you inculcate this value of truth in them?
Walk the talk. That is the best example for children. Children look at their parents in initial age, and both parents are role models. If you lie, they lie. If you talk about others, they will talk. If you don't read, they don't read. What you do, your children absorb, like how a sponge absorbs water. So I told my daughter, you should not buy too many dresses. I also will not buy. I said to my son, you should not see TV because it is, more than an hour. He said, you also should not see. He said, okay, I will also not see. Okay. So I told him, in the late hours, he said, I get bored, I'm studying. Will you sit next to me and do? I said, okay, I'll sit next to you. I will also study. If you want what your children have to become, you should become like that.
Right. But you also redefined the way you saw yourself when you became an author. You started writing for children. Today, you're a best-selling author of children's books. How did you walk that path? What was that journey like? Did you ever think that you would be writing for children one day?
Not that I became a writer later part of my life. That is not true. From the beginning, I used to write. My mother used to write. When I started foundation, my canvas became large and I wrote lot more incident I could see. Then I could write lot more. But I felt if you give a sermon to children, children get bored. So write a story, they will remember. So I started writing for children.
There's some questions, Sudhaji, that have come from our viewers, and I'm going to take some of these questions. The first question is that you talk a lot of the value system that your family inculcated in you. But how do others develop clarity about how you get to be glorious and walk the path of truth? How did you pull yourself back from this? Or how did you deflect this trap that so many people get into, no matter how good they are?
When we achieve something, we have achieved. We never think deeply about it. When you achieve something, there are many people who are part of it actually. And there are many people who are as hardworking as you are. But sometimes luck doesn't favor. When you work, there are many people who give input and we don't remember. We think money can buy everything. No. Money can buy respect, but it's not a true respect. Money can buy friendship, but it is not a true friendship. We are born in a society where many people require your help. Tell me, what is that incident which made me to be born in Dr. Kulkarni's family, not in the slum? It was not my choice, right? But there are many bright people other side of the line who are as good or maybe better than me, and they are born in the other side of the line. So I feel it is our duty to help them.
Right. Tell me, Sudhaji, when you're young, when you're starting a family, when Mr. Murty was starting Infosys, the challenges are everyday challenges, right? It's really about, and of course you have to have aspirations for material wealth, material growth, because you have to take care of your children. You have to, make sure that they get the best opportunities. At that stage, what were your experiments with truth? What were you thinking? What was driving you? What kind of ambition was driving you?
I used to think, I tell Murty, my ambitions were not great actually. That is one of the reasons in marriage it becomes easier. I said, if I have a 2-bedroom house, 1 scooter, and a good job to look after my children's education, I am not dependent on Murty. I was not dependent on Murty because I don't know whether Murty will be successful or may not be successful, will work or may not work. That's all was my expectation.
You did get all that success. What was your attitude towards it?
Then I felt more than that what I got. I said, I must help people.
There are some questions on the youth which I would like to ask you, Sudhaji. How do you see India's youth today? You interact with so many youngsters. You've brought 2 very smart youngsters up. What is your perception of youth of today?
Every generation says next generation has so many advantages. So they did not suffer like us. We learned under the street light. I don't know which street light actually. So we suffered a lot. Look, we did not have a house. Our children have a house. So they get all the facility and they are not as hardworking as we are. I believe in mathematics. 1 by 2 is equal to 2 by 4 is equal to 3 by 6 is equal to 4 by 8. Answer is 0.5. This generation has lot of exposure and also remember lot of competition. Every generation has their own plus, their own minus. Every generation has their own difficulties and their own aspirations and their own tensions. So every generation has, but what we have to teach children is ethical work and discipline, and learn something from elders. And we should not go on giving 1,000 examples or 1,000 updates. They won't listen. Pick up your wars, not your fights. Okay. So I used to tell my children, look, there are many things which I don't ask you. There are some things I am going to ask you. So teach your children to be independent, free thinking, and when needed, take your advice. When needed, take your advice. Don't go on giving advice. Then they don't value it. And what you want your children should become, you cannot start when they are 25, start when they are 5. Shodasha varsha prapteshu putram mitra vadacharet. When your child is 16, treat your child as your friend. Your dreams are your dreams. Their dreams are different. You can't make them to live your dreams. Don't put pressure on your children.
There's another very interesting question that has come. How do you deal with feeling low, anger, a sense of being dealt with unfairly, and sadness?
Life is unfair. There is fairness in life. But the way I look at it, like if a tiger catches a deer, for deer it is unfair. For a tiger it is fair. Is it not? So, life is unfair. You have to make it fair. As much as possible. You have to make it fair with whom you work, with what you do, as much as possible. Second thing, when I feel low, I look at positive way. I feel very happy. I say, look, I have so many things. Why should I feel low? I have so much opportunity to help people. Why should I feel low? In any situation, when I realize it is not going as per I look at it, I think, then I stop that way. Then I look at positive way, I feel happy.
Have you been cheated by a person?
Oh, many times.
Does that make you feel angry? Does that make you feel that you have to question what you have done, or that you should be also strident like them? I mean, what do you think?
Many times, how people look at me. Also, I know. I'll give 2 examples how people lie to me. Once I went to a music session and two women were sitting and chatting, well, from well-off families. And the first one said, my daughter is very dull, what to do? Then, no, make her a teacher. She's in a job, then she gets married. Then she said, no, I sent her for teaching and they dismissed her. Then, send her to do some social work. It's a good thing. Then other one said, is it difficult or is it easy? Look at Sudha Murty, no brain. Okay, no brain. Husband has made a lot of money. She'll write a check. Every day she's in the paper. When Sudha Murty can do, anybody can do. Social work is the easiest thing to do. Then I tapped at their back. I was sitting at the back, I said, they said, what? I said, do you know Sudha Murty? They said, yeah, we know. I said, when did you meet her? They said, today morning. I said, I'm Sudha Murty. Oh, how much you have changed? They said. I said, no, I have not changed. Fine, my husband has made money and I don't have a brain, that I accept it. That's not a problem. Because that is okay. If I don't have a brain, still I have a right to live on this world, no? I said, if a doctor makes a mistake, the patient goes 6 feet below the ground. If a magistrate makes a mistake, a person is hung 6 feet above the ground. If a teacher makes a mistake, the entire batch will suffer throughout their life. Teaching is one of the most respected profession in the world. Don't ever look down upon. She was so useless, sent her for teaching. In Traitra Upanishad, this says, the most respected person, third in the hierarchy, is a teacher. We say, Acharya Devo Bhava. Oh teacher, I salute thee. You have given me a new birth of knowledge, other than my parents, we say. And you want your dull daughter should become a teacher and kill the entire batch? Don't ever look down upon a teacher. Then about social work, I said, people who have a compassionate heart only can become a good social worker. If people do not have compassionate heart, then any amount of money, you said, what is the advantage? What is the vested interest? What my company gets? What do I get? Whereas a compassionate heart thinks, I may get a bad name, but if it doesn't matter, but if it helps others, let me do it now. So don't ever look down upon social work or a teaching profession. However, I have not met you today morning. People lied to me a lot. When I was young, 45, 48 years old, I used to get really upset. People like to cheat me. Why they have to cheat me? Over a period I have learned. It is greed that makes them to cheat me. It's a greed in their life. Even though somebody cheats, today I said it's the greed which has cheated. But I am much more careful now. So about 99% of the time we are right. 1% I am a human. I may be wrong. I accept it.
Another interesting question is, you yourself are a source of inspiration for millions in India and abroad. Having become Sudha Murty, where do you find your inspiration?
Where do I find my inspiration? My conscience, I think. And poor people. Whenever I look at poor, actually this question is asked by my secretaries. Ma'am, why are you, whole Saturday, Sunday you travel? Why do you worry about the project is not complete? I tell them, I have a duty towards poor people. Rich people, I don't worry.
People have goals. Some people have material success. Some people have spiritual success. What was your goal, and are you happy and satisfied with what you have done?
Goal goes on changing. It cannot be that 8 years what goal I had, 16 years, 20 years, the same goal is not there. For example, when I was in college, my goal was I had to always get a first rank, because I was very conscious that I'm in engineering college, boys, I should beat boys. Neither to left nor to right. His only goal was to achieve the first rank and teach boys, look, I can beat you people. I want to beat you people in your own game, to show it is not your domain. People who work, it is their domain. Then later part of my life was helping Murty. Whether we are successful or not, I was not bothered actually. I was not bothered. My husband has a dream and I must help my level best so that a dream should not shatter. Never about money. Actually, I never thought about money. Money never played an important role in my life at all. But at the age of 45, when my daughter asked me, Amma, what's your goal in life? Is it money, glamour, or you are such a well-read person, you want to travel? What is that? And if you cannot do social work, then you don't have a right to tell anybody. She was 15, I was 45. It took a week for me to realize what I really need in life and its foundation. The last 25 years, I worked only for the poor people. My goal went on changing depending on the situations I always say I will help as much as possible. I will do as much as possible in my level best, without vested interest, without wasting time.
We have something called truth bombs, which is really quick answers. First is, can there be happiness without sadness?
No, not necessary.
What is the biggest lie that you once believed was true?
Life will be without difficulty. If you work hard, you get everything. What I believed, but it's not true.
It's not true? But how do you find inspiration when it's not true? Because that's hard-coded in our minds, right? All our parents keep telling us that.
I will work hard, that is in my hand. But I don't have control on the outcome, that I learned it. On the contrary, I can control only 10% of the things in my life. 90% I cannot control, even though I work very hard.
Being a teacher, what advice would you give to young teachers about teaching kids to follow the path of truth? A very important question.
You must love teaching, then only you should take teaching. Otherwise, don't take. You will spoil them. If you are taking for, I'm sitting idle at home, let me be a teacher. If I become a teacher, I'll get a good boy. None of them. I used to love my students. I used to love my subject. And they loved me immensely. I used to call them, they are my children. I meet many of my students who have become extremely successful. I ask them, beta, I taught you management, decision making, etc., etc. What do you remember? I said, ma'am, nothing. Your smiling face and your story at the end.
But how do you as a teacher teach them how to walk the path of truth?
Experience is the best teacher in life, but a very expensive teacher. Beta, when you are going out, I want to give you a set of advice. With my experience, same mistake you should not do. That's what I used to tell my students. Don't do these things. Do these things.
And last question, what is the one thing that you would like to change about yourself?
Maybe sometimes I'm too compassionate. At times, I become jaldi se pighal jati hu. Little bit of guard I should take, I feel. Little bit of more guard. I had a car in my farm. And one evening I saw 200 parrots came and they were eating. I said, where are they? They said they were in hiding somewhere. Nowadays, everything in the industrial area, they don't get. I told him the entire that area, don't pick even a single corn. Let them eat, enjoy. Every day I go and look at them. Or, 200 will come and eat and go. I didn't get a single corn. Doesn't matter. So, at times, it goes too much.
And may you never change that about yourself, Sudhaji, because I was inspired by you before this conversation and I'm truly inspired by you all over again after this conversation. Many, many thanks for joining us, speaking from your heart, and also telling us about your own life journey and the great insights that you've got from your experience with truth. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mini, because this is a nice topic about truth. Truth is harsh, truth is good. Truth has its own side effects. Everybody cannot afford to tell truth because I feel when you are economically better off to some extent, you can afford to be telling truth because, there are people, even poorest of them, they tell truth, but they are less in number. But you have to tell truth, you will make a lot of enemies. Okay? You have to accept that and then tell it. I accept that. Let me have more enemies, but let me have truth. Because it's the simplest way of living, it is the correct way of living, and it is the most peaceful way of living.